Somebody from the 601, no name attached. That's okay. College baseball is more enjoyable with the 11.7 scholarships, is what is said on the text line.
I saw that, and I would be open to hearing a little bit more about why you think that. Because here's the reality. Among the programs in the SEC, there are basically 4 that are operating on 11.7 scholarships. 3 that are operating on like true 11.7. Mississippi State's probably operating more, maybe a little closer to 14, 15. And then you've got a team like Vanderbilt who's probably operating more on like 24 to 26. And then LSU's able to game the system, and Florida's able to game the system. And whatever. So really you got Ole Miss, Auburn, and Alabama, and Mississippi State to a slightly lesser degree that's operating on 11.7. So you got to help me out on why 11.7 makes college baseball more fun to watch. And your response is more good players are spread around. Spread around where?
Well, he uses the example of Coastal Carolina. They have not made the postseason since they won that national championship. They were a flash in the pan. That's not a championship-level program on an annual basis. They don't make the tournament. They just so happen to make that magical run where they won it, on like a Tuesday morning? Because the NCAA just does not care about making the baseball tournament accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And they've been completely irrelevant since.
Yeah, I mean,
luckily, baseball's the ultimate sport of parity, right? I mean, in Major League Baseball, you've got teams with payrolls smaller than one player on the Yankees, and yet they outperform a lot of people. I do think that there is some degree of truth to the idea that smaller programs that are competitive nationally might get damaged. I mean, I wonder if it would hurt Southern Miss, not because they wouldn't be able to afford to add scholarships. I think they're one of the few Group of Fives that actually would, if they were given the opportunity to increase their scholarship number, would do it, no questions asked.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But because of scholarship limitations, there are players that Ole Miss and Mississippi State don't take. Would they take those guys now, limiting the pool for Southern Miss? I don't know.
I would make the argument that more full scholarships, or, whatever the number is, 25 or 35 or 30 or 22, whatever it is, would actually be good for the game. Because you would make the cost of going to college, when you've got 11.7 scholarships, basically nobody is on a full, like a true full scholarship the way a football player is. And so I think you would have more high school baseball players who see what the facilities are like and who see what the support is like and who see what the benefits are like to playing college baseball if they could afford to do it.
Yeah.
But you got a ton that can't afford to say, if you want to use a private school, let's use TCU as an example. Would love to go to TCU and play baseball. It's $60,000 a year. And so I can't afford to go to TCU. So I'll just go ahead and go to the draft. I mean, good grief. I mean, out-of-state tuition at Ole Miss is $16,000 a year.
Try to go to Georgia from not Georgia.
$50,000 a year.
Florida, I've heard's up there. I didn't look into it, but I looked at Georgia for about 10 minutes when we found out what out-of-state tuition would cost to go to Georgia. And my dad laughed, and that was the end of that. It was, I mean, if I was a baseball player, which I was never good enough to be one at a high level, Georgia would not have been an option for us.
I got a message from a friend on the text line. You've heard a lot about the need to diversify baseball. There's an opportunity. If college scholarships are available to more high school baseball players, and that is an opportunity or a path, then you got a chance to get more minorities playing baseball as well.
Two things. First, I'm with you completely. Somebody asked us about Title IX. I assume, without being a legal expert, maybe we should get Ashley in here, that if they give the conferences the autonomy to raise their scholarship limit for sports like baseball, the law would require them to add the same number of scholarships for women's sports. Now, softball would help some because softball is not a full scholarship sport. So if you add in baseball, you add in softball. If they're equal, no problem. But if you add more for baseball, then yes, you would have to add more scholarships for women's sports, whether you add a sport like gymnastics or swimming and diving or whatever. And my thought is good. More opportunities for young people to get college paid for sounds pretty good to me. And second, more selfishly, honestly, I don't care if raising the scholarship limit would reduce some parity in college baseball. Because I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, with the few exceptions, most people listening to this right now aren't watching college baseball like they do college football. They watch their team. Sometimes they'll check out other SEC teams, but they're not really excited to get home on a Tuesday night to watch Dallas Baptist and Texas State like we do college football. We're fans of our teams, not necessarily the sport as a whole. So if increasing the scholarship limit makes our teams more equipped to more regularly compete for and win championships, I don't care if it harms parity in college baseball the way I do football. I just want our teams to win. That's all I want in baseball.